All right, welcome to Dinner with Downey. I'm trying something a little bit different here. I have some multiple cameras set up, but I'm here by myself. In the future, we will have a Mr. Jason Rodrigue hanging out with us, operating the cameras. But for right now, so I can get used to some stuff here, I'm just going to shoot by myself. So I have three cameras going. I am making Chicago hot chicken and waffles, which is obviously a take on Nashville hot chicken. If you're familiar with Nashville hot chicken, or not familiar, I guess, basically it's fried chicken, and then after you fry it, it's usually marinated pretty well, depending on where you're getting it from. After you fry it, it's real crispy. Pull it out. You get some of the hot oil you fried it in, and you season the oil with could be sugar, cayenne, chili powder, salt if you want. Usually there's enough salt, you don't have to do that, but whatever spices you want. And you take your crispy fried chicken, you toss it in that hot oil, which is very heavily seasoned, and you have Nashville hot chicken. You serve it with some hot sauce if you want. It's usually with pickles and on some kind of white bread, or you can make it into a sandwich with some coleslaw. So what I'm actually working with as a recipe, I created a very, well, I want to say very long time ago. It was probably like 7 years ago when I first started working on recipes. So let me see if I got it. So here it is, Chicago hot chicken. You could print it out at chicagojohnnies.com. This is my take on it. I just had some hot chicken, Nashville hot chicken, and I fell in love with it. And I thought, well, what can I do to make this a little more unique, a little more Midwest, a little more Chicago? And so what I do is I toss it in my giardiniera oil. So I make giardiniera Chicago Johnnies. It's locally at Jewel Osco stores, on Amazon, chicagojohnnies.com, walmart.com. But if you're in the Chicago area, just go to Jewel. It's like $8 on the shelf. I make it with olive oil and a ton of spices. So the reason I don't season the oil when I'm done is you could see the oil sitting on the bottom there. There's just a ton of spices happening. And so I just added a little sugar to this one, which I haven't done before. And actually in the recipe, it doesn't say that. I thought it'd be fun to try out. So I'm taking my chicken. This is just chicken breasts. Last night I cut it up. I needled it. If you have a needler, like tenderizer, needle tenderizer. I did that because it puts holes in the chicken, which allows the flavor to seep in, but also it tenderizes it. So it flattens it. You can see pretty thin pieces here because I'm going for thin strips, crispy thin strips for my waffles. And so I marinated overnight. Some whole milk, lemon juice, Cajun seasoning. If you are going to do this and you're making your own marinade, make sure that you don't put too much acid in it. If you do put too much acid in it, make sure you don't let it sit too long, or you're going to have mushy chicken. And nobody wants mushy chicken. So it was sitting in a bowl in the fridge with that marinade. Took it out about maybe 40 minutes ago when I started playing around in here. And then I set it on this little wire rack here. Let me see here. Put it on this little wire rack, lay it out for a couple minutes, and all that's doing is letting the excess marinade kind of run off. And if you're new to cooking, you're thinking, well, why not just keep the marinade in there? You know, it's good flavor and whatnot. And like, that's how I thought too. Sometimes there's just too much of something. And in this case, if it's too wet, it's really going to affect the way that you are, your results come out. So we don't want to do that. So running into the problem that so many people have, I have just enough flour in this bowl. The flour is seasoned too. Flour is seasoned with Cajun seasoning. It's Cajun seasoning, cornstarch, all-purpose flour, And that's it. You don't have to go crazy seasoning your flour, but something on there. I always season like almost everything I do in multiple steps. So what I'm doing is I'm fortifying the Cajun flavor from the marinade. I also have it in my egg and beer wash, and I have it in the flour. So it's called fortification. I'm just adding the same or similar flavors in different steps of the process. Pretty big in like soups and whatnot. And then I have this one little random piece here. I don't want it to go to waste, so I'm just going to bread it. And I don't know what we'll do with it yet, but munch on it or something. So take the chicken, dredge it in the flour, put it in this wash, which is just, what is it? PBR I had on hand. So I did PBR, eggs, Cajun seasoning, cornstarch, and flour. So just a little bit of this mixture in here. And then let's take it out of the marinade, let it sit in the pan, dry off for a little bit. Flour it, back in the wet, back in the flour, and then I put it on another rack. I'll show you here in a second. I just want to get these out of here. But I have it in another rack. But you want to leave it on for at least a few minutes. Obviously, I'm doing this in batches. I'm trying to work through some stuff live, so it's not ideal and optimal, but yeah, well, this is just going to be a gloppy mess, but I'm okay with that. We're heating our oil up to about 350. Where are we at here? Let's try that camera. So I got the oil going. I want to get it to about 350. We'll do this piece of chicken that was kind of odd first. And now since we're working with the raw chicken, I'll clean up a little bit. I had some disinfectant. There we go. Clean off the surface, and then the oil was heated up, but I wasn't ready yet, so I turned it off for a second. And then, so we're at like 320 right now. I just want to get it up to, so you say you fry it at 350, but really what you want to do is get to like 360, 370, 375 maybe, depending on how cold what you're putting in there is. Because it's going to drop the temperature of the oil as soon as you go to fry it. So we want to avoid the temperature of that oil dropping too fast. So, or not, well, you don't want it to drop too low, because then you get soggy, greasy food. 350 is pretty optimal, but again, you got to start a little higher. This chicken's been sitting out a little while, so I only need to go to like 360. If you're just pulling it out of the fridge and it's still really cold, you want to get up to like 370, 375, especially depending on how much you're going to fry at the same time. Let's go here. So now we'll start on the waffles. I'd say we probably got like 4 minutes for the oil, something like that. And speaking of oil, I have my oven set to 170 degrees just for to keep it warm. So after I fry the chicken, I can keep it in the oven if I want to. So I just took some jardinera oil, Chicago Johnny's jardinera oil. It's if you're local, go to Jewel Osco, Woodman's in Carpentersville. If you're in Woodstock, Jewel Osco or DNA Market, or the Market by DNA on the square. Anyway, I use olive oil, a ton of spices. You can see the color on this oil. It's very rich, and that's from all the spices I put in there. The only difference on here, and I'll put this in the recipe later, but the only difference I did is I added a little sugar to this. I've become very, I really like the sweet and hot combinations that have been going on. So sweet and hot. So I just added a little sugar to the jardinera oil. I'm keeping it in the oven just to keep it warm, because after we fry the chicken, we're going to toss it in the oil. So I just pulled it out to show you guys. We'll go back in the oven. The bowl is warm, but it's not hot. The oven's set to 170, so not ridiculous. All right, so while our oil is heating up, our chicken is already ready to go. Oh, I'll show you real quick. So after we marinated the chicken, took it out, put it on a wire rack, let it drip loose, or drip the excess off. Then put it in the flour and Cajun seasoning cornstarch mix. Took it out, shake it, put it in a mix of, was it beer, egg yolk, or eggs, and then some of that flour cornstarch mix it up. Take that out, let all the excess run off in the flour again, and then we end up here. So we're just on a wire rack again, and I'll flip one of these just so you can see the difference. This is one of the older ones. The flour and cornstarch has pretty much absorbed all the wet. That's why this one looks this way. These will eventually turn that way as they sit. On the underside, it's like that. So these are going to go in the fryer, and then we're going to toss them in that oil, and then we're going to put them on some waffles. So we need to make waffles. So I have a recipe for waffles on the internet. This is based off of that. One of the major differences, this is probably the most complicated waffle recipe you're going to find. And I started it with nothing, like from zero. I didn't know what was going into waffles. I just like waffles, kind of had an idea, I went with it. I like whole wheat flour, especially for some flavor. So when we get like the darker earthy tones, like this jardiniere is kind of a darker tone, the whole wheat flour will play very well with that. So it's half whole wheat flour, half white flour. And if you search Chicago Johnny's waffle recipe online, you'll come across it. Sugar, salt, baking powder, and then we have 2 egg yolks, 1 cup of half and half, and 3/4 cup of whole milk yogurt. Then the 2 egg yolks, I separated the egg whites, I whipped those, so those will go in last. And then this is another thing that not a lot of people do. Refined coconut oil, not the stuff that tastes like coconut, but the refined coconut oil, stuff you make with like popcorn. There's not a lot of flavor to it, but it's solid. This stuff here. This stuff doesn't have a whole lot of flavor, but what it does for texture, real flaky, real crispy, almost like shortening. And if you guys have some older folks around and they're always talking about how fried food used to be better, it's the shortening they used, which we don't use anymore because of the trans fat. Some people use it, not everybody uses it. So anyway, this is the dry mix. This is my wet mix. This is my fat, so butter and coconut oil, and my egg whites. Again, if you just search Chicago Johnny's waffle recipe online, you'll find it, but I will post that again, because I don't know if that one's actually on my website or not. I think it's just like in an archive somewhere. So we don't want to overmix with the wet and the dry, because the more we mix this, the more gluten development we're going to have. And we kind of want light, airy, flaky. So if we mix it too much, we get like a tight, like a grumpy person, right? Like tight gluten structure. So we want it loose. And this is cold, the liquids. That's why it caked up like this. Get a little bit of this. Oh, and yogurt. For whatever reason, I started using yogurt. I knew they had sour cream and stuff, so I thought maybe yogurt would be a little more flavor when I started. And then we're going back 15 years probably for this recipe. But I thought yogurt would impart more flavor, which it does. But I think it also does something with texture. So I suggest yogurt or sour cream if you can. And then addition of some kind of dairy like milk or whatever. So I'm trying to fold in the fat. So the fat is still warm, and the mixture is pretty cold, which is the milk and the eggs. So we're getting this kind of odd consistency here right now. But that is fine, it will all come together.
Of your spirit. I see your longing for peace and your need for rest, and I am here to give it to you. Will you let
incorporated essentially? And again, the fat is just butter and refined coconut oil. Actually, I want to plug in our.
We gotta beat the Flying Dutchman. I don't know how we're gonna do it. I don't know what the currency of this is. I guess jellyfish is the ones we gotta get. 49 of 100. This is gonna be really hard to do. This is gonna be the one. Like maybe okay. These are fives. Okay, fives. I'm gonna guess threes and ones on the side. Okay, 70. That was a decent second try. Okay, boom. Let's try like. Okay, I saw there's a little gap this way. Let me make sure. Okay. Yeah, I knew it. The jellyfishes are. Oh, it says at the top. I don't know why I'm not looking right there. Come on. I don't know. I'm looking a little slow. I don't know why I thought the jellyfish is only one. I don't know how to beat this one. This one's kind of hard. Hold on. Like, hold on. Okay, we're close. It was close on that one. It was close on that one now. All right, like this got to be a trick to this. I don't know. I feel like you go through all three, you're gonna miss out on too many of them. Like, look, I knew it. Game over 100. Honestly, this one's really hard to do. I don't know how to do this one. We gotta beat the Flying Dutchman. I don't know how we're gonna do it. I don't know what the currency of this is. I guess jellyfish is the ones we gotta get. 49 of 100. This is gonna be really hard to do. This is gonna be the one. Like maybe okay. These are fives. Okay, fives. I'm gonna guess threes and ones on the side. Okay, 70. That was a decent second try. Okay. Boom, let's try like, okay, I saw there's a little gap this way. Let me make sure, okay. Yeah, I knew it. The jellyfishes are, oh, it says at the top. I don't know why I'm not looking right there. Come on. I don't know, I'm looking a little slow. I don't know why I thought the jellyfish is only one. I don't know how to beat this one. This one's kind of hard. Hold on. Like, hold on. Okay, we're close. It was close on that one. It was close on that one though. All right, like, this got to be a trick to this. All right, I don't know. I feel like you go through all three, you're gonna miss out on too many of them. Like, look, I knew it. Game over 100. Honestly, this one's really hard to do. I don't know how to do this one.
Chicago hot chicken and waffles.
We gotta beat the Flying Dutchman. I don't know how we're gonna do it. I don't know what the currency of this is. I guess jellyfish is the ones we gotta get. 49 of 100. This is gonna be really hard to do. This is gonna be the one. Like maybe okay. These are fives. Okay, fives. I'm gonna guess threes and ones on the side. Okay, 70. That was a decent second try. Okay, boom. Let's try like, okay, I saw there's a little gap this way. Let me make sure, okay. Yeah, I knew it. The jellyfishes are, oh, it says at the top. I don't know why I'm not looking right there. Come on. I don't know, I'm looking a little slow. I don't know why I thought the jellyfish is only one. I don't know how to beat this one. This one's kind of hard. Like, hold on. Okay, we're close. It was close on that one. It was close on that one now. Alright, like, this gotta be a trick to this. I don't know. I feel like you go through all three, you're gonna miss out on too many of them. Like, look, I knew it. Game over 100. Honestly, this one's really hard to do. I don't know how to do this one. We gotta beat the Flying Dutchman. I don't know how we're gonna do it. I don't know what the currency of this is. I guess jellyfish is the ones we gotta get. 49 of 100. This is gonna be really hard to do. This is gonna be the one. Like maybe okay. These are fives. Okay, fives. I'm gonna guess threes and ones on the side. Okay, 70. That was a decent second try. Okay, boom. Let's try like, okay, I saw there's a little gap this way. Let me make sure, okay. Yeah, I knew it. The jellyfishes are, oh, it says at the top. I don't know why I'm not looking right there. Come on. I don't know, I'm looking a little slow. I don't know why I thought the jellyfish is only one. I don't know how to beat this one. This one's kind of hard. Hold on. Like, hold on. Okay, we're close. It was close on that one. It was close on that one now. Alright, like, this gotta be a trick to this. I don't know. I feel like you go through all three, you're gonna miss out on too many of them. Like, look, I knew it. Game over 100. Honestly, this one's really hard to do. I don't know how to do this one. We gotta beat the Flying Dutchman. I don't know how we're gonna do it. I don't know what the currency of this is. I guess jellyfish is the ones we gotta get. 49 of 100. This is gonna be really hard to do. This is gonna be the one. Like maybe okay. These are fives. Okay, fives. I'm gonna guess threes and ones on the side. Okay, 70. That was a decent second try. Okay, boom. Let's try like okay. I saw there's a little gap this way. Hold on, let me make sure. Okay. Yeah, I knew it. The jellyfishes are. Oh, it says at the top. I don't know why I'm not looking right there. Come on. I don't know. I'm looking a little slow. I don't know why I thought the jellyfish is only one. I don't know how to beat this one. This one's kind of hard. Hold on. Like, hold on. Okay, we're close. I was close on that one. We was close on that one now. All right, like this got to be a trick to this. All right, I don't know. I thought you go through all three. You're gonna miss out on too many of them. Like, look, I knew it. Game over. 100. Honestly, this one's really hard to do. I don't know how to do this one. We gotta beat the Flying Dutchman. I don't know how we're gonna do it. I don't know what the currency of this is. I guess jellyfish is the ones we gotta get. 49 of 100. This is gonna be really hard to do. This is gonna be the one. Like maybe okay. These are fives. Okay, fives. I'm gonna guess threes and ones on the side. Okay, 70. That was a decent second try. Okay, boom. Let's try like okay. I saw there's a little gap this way. Hold on, let me make sure. Okay. Yeah, I knew it.
I have two sets of tongs going, so I have the ones with all the raw chicken and shit on there. That's going to be for obviously putting the raw chicken into the oil. And then I have another set of tongs that are clean for when I want to take it out of the oil. Very important if you're not used to thinking in those terms. Definitely start doing it. This is some crispy fucking chicken, man. Ooh, doggy.
No.
Let's see what we got here for the waffles. Oh, it's just a timer. All right. Sorry, I've not pulled this thing out since before COVID, probably. Around about there. So we're going to fry some chicken up in batches. The texture on this, long before COVID actually, and we're still looking at restaurant spaces, 2017-ish probably. Michelle and I did this experiment with fried chicken. And I went through my old cookbooks, Paul Prudhomme, James Beard, some of the new stuff like Sean Brock, Ed Lee. I tried a lot of their fried chicken recipes. And there's this one by Paul Prudhomme I remember specifically. It had white vinegar, serrano peppers, pretty basic. You marinate it overnight, real tender chicken, and it comes out tasting like hot sauce chicken essentially. I'm a hot sauce guy. I got a whole cabinet full of it. That was really freaking good. Then just different techniques and stuff like that to see what was going on. I really prefer having some cornstarch in there. It seems to hold its crisp a lot longer. The process of dredging in the flour and letting it sit before you fry it really helps it to adhere. So you're not going to get that like flaky KFC type stuff. But really fucking good. It's very well coated. Just well worth it. Let's see what we got here for plating. Still going on the waffle iron. Oh, we're gonna need a disher to get some of this out. I don't actually have it measured, so we'll go with that. Again, my waffle recipe is online. Chicago Johnny's waffle recipe. You'll find it. Very different than anything you've probably ever seen. And again, the reason for that is I didn't know how to make waffles. I didn't look up a recipe or anything. I just kind of figured I knew what was in it, and I just went with it. So I use coconut oil, yogurt. And those are both things that give incredible texture to the waffles. This one here is one of the little scraggly pieces that we fried up earlier. It was left on the plate. So fucking good. So I use my Cajun seasoning. Some of you might already have it. It is discontinued. It just didn't sell. Under the Chicago name, for whatever reason, it just didn't sell. Fantastic. I actually had the backup house manager of Commander's Palace, which is a high-end restaurant down in New Orleans. Came to one of our events. He was visiting his daughter from college. So he was up here. He comes up and he asks if he could have a sample of some food. We always give out samples. I didn't know who this person was at the time, and he was just curious, so he asked for some samples. We give him some samples. He looks at me, and I said, what do you think? And he goes, well, you don't know who I am. I'm like, no, sorry. I'm Josh. Nice to meet you. He goes, I manage the kitchen at Commander's Palace out in New Orleans. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. That's awesome. What would you do different about, what you had? He had like the Cajun chicken, jambalaya, crawfish etouffee that night. The Cajun chicken sandwiches. And he goes, I wouldn't change a fucking thing. It's looked me dead in the eyes and said that. I was like, all right, that feels really good, I'm frying in canola oil. I use canola oil because it's not as greasy, so I prefer just to fry it in the canola oil. Not have to worry about it. There we go. Waffle iron's looking good. So there's going to be some unconventional things you're going to see today. One of them is going to be, let's see if I can get the overhead on here. Yeah, there we go. One of them is going to be buttering my waffle before I put my chicken on it. And part of the reason being is flavor, obviously. But a lot of times when I cook for somebody and they like it, not everything's a hit. Like, oh my God, this is so good. What did you do different than, I make this all the time and it never turns out like this. And the biggest difference is fat and salt are two things that a home cook generally does not use as much as you would in a restaurant. Restaurants, so much salt, so much fat. That's just the way it is. All right, so our temperature in the oil is dropping. We're going to let that come up again. We got our first waffle in. It's syrup, I do believe. Where are we here? Olive oil. If you're going to Jewel, if you're local to the Chicago area, go to Jewel Ask, go pick up my olive oil jardiniere, Chicago Johnny's brand. It's on the store shelves. They also have my Midwestern cherry barbecue sauce, and they have this African ghost pepper hot sauce. It's hot as shit. This is like my tolerance, so this is what I like. The flavor on this, whatever they're doing, is so fucking good. This is what I'm gonna have in my waffles. It is hot though. You're probably not gonna. You have to be a hothead to like it. What am I looking for? Syrup. There we are. What do we got? Butternut Mountain Farm Pure and Natural Vermont Maple Syrup from TJ Maxx. Oh, it smells good. So we're gonna do this first waffle. I don't know how it's gonna turn out because I have not used this thing since before COVID. And we could use like a scoop and a half of this. So what do we have? We're a blue disher. Let's see if it's got a size on it. That's number 16. Looks to be probably about a little less than half a cup. You probably use a full cup in this waffle iron. Your waffle iron is obviously a little different. There we go. So good. I really miss Cajun food. So we used to run a food tent, Michelle and I, festivals and breweries and shit like that. And it was always, well, it started out as Cajun food. So we had 4 main dishes: jambalaya, red beans and rice, gumbo, and crawfish etouffee. And every now and again we bring out dirty rice. It's just hard to do a thing. But we're under a tent, 110 degrees out in the sun, just cooking jambalaya from scratch, crawfish etouffee from scratch. Like it was a trip, man. I do miss those days, and I do miss the Cajun food. Cajun food's making its way around the country. I noticed that trend kind of happening the early 2010s probably, and I was like, why, there's Cajun stuff's popping up here and there, and where the hell is this coming from? And what happened, obviously, is Katrina displaced some people, and they took their cuisine out in the world as they got dispersed. And I'm very thankful that I get to try it now. I am a big fan of Cajun food. All right, I'm gonna let our oil heat up again. I'm gonna test this with another thermometer just because I feel like it's hotter than it says it is. It's a new thermometer I got in there. I've only used it one time before. Might need more oil in there to keep it above the level. The reason I got it is I don't have a clip for this to hold in the pot, so I have to hold it over the hot oil myself, and it sucks. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, we're off a little bit, right? Yeah, we're still good. We are ready to fry some more. Once I get enough of these fried and enough waffles made, we'll start plating. When I do this in the future, we're going to have guests and a co-host, Mr. Jason Rodrigue. Oh, that's nice. Where are we at here? Another waffle going. So being like 1.5 of these will probably be right. So this waffle that came out, you probably can't hear it because just the outside is crispy, but it's like a crispy shell, and the inside's more like a Belgian waffle, like heavier, like a street waffle. And the flavor and the texture on this is just fucking gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So happy I came up with a recipe. So you can go online. What are you looking at here? There you go. You can go online, chicagojohnnies.com. I'll have the recipe for the Chicago hot chicken. if you search on the internet Chicago Johnny's waffle recipe, that's where you get this waffle recipe. The most complicated waffle you're ever going to make. But it's so worth it. It's so fucking worth it. You're going to love it. Let's see, we're going to let chicken in here. You're going to love it, I guarantee you. What the hell was it? You're going to love it, I guarantee it. Suits Men's Warehouse, that's what it is. Men's fucking Warehouse. The thing with fried chicken is it's got different styles and stuff, so if you have a preferred style of like your breading and stuff, go with it. You know, I'm not too picky on stuff like that. Everybody's got their preferred. Food is so subjective. What you like, what you don't like. You might like it now, you don't like it in a year. Do what you love, man. Do what you love. Alright, so we're going to get a new plate for this one. It seems like it'd be a really good breading for alligator. Really good breading for alligator. See, oh, shit. See where we're at here. So, again, if you're local, go to Jewel Osco, pick up some of my olive oil jardiniere, and I carried the barbecue sauce, this African ghost pepper hot sauce. If you can tolerate that kind of heat level, I mean, it's up there. Or if you're not, you can go to ChicagoJohnnies.com, Amazon, Walmart, and you can pick up a copy of my new cookbook, the Chicago Pizza Cookbook by Josh Downey on Amazon. I just released it December last year, so it's still very new. It's just on WGN for it. Was it last week, I think? This one looks good. All right. Nice full-size waffle here. So this is something not a lot of people do, especially if you're going to doctor the shit out of it anyway, but I am a big fan of buttering after it's cooked. So even if you're doing like a, I don't know, whatever you're doing, you can do a little butter at the end of it. That's the way to go. See if we can get some of these out. So I'm not a huge pickle fan, but I make these candied jalapenos. There we go. So it's sweet, spicy, real thin, good for like nachos, stuff like that, real crispy. And then take one of these chickens that are already cooked. We're going to toss it in this oil. Then we're going to let it run off. So this is just the jardiniere oil and a little bit of sugar added to it. So I've been really a big fan of the sweet heat lately. Lay one like that. Toss this other guy. One thing I need to work on, that part of the reason I want to do this show with guests, is plating. Terrible at plating. For whatever reason. It's just not in my DNA, man. Take a little bit of this. Some syrup. And then for me, some of this African ghost pepper hot sauce. That's a lot. It's like, you get to the end of hot ones and they, oh, last dab, and I put a little too much on there. That's what I just did. I'm okay with that though. My waffle iron's ready. Perfect. And for you to see, that is Chicago hot chicken and waffles. So you can go to chicagojohnnies.com. You find my recipe for the Chicago hot chicken. You can go to Amazon, Walmart, or if you're local, go to Jewel Osco. You can pick up my olive oil there. It's hot and mild. It's on store shelves. And if you are online, look for Chicago Johnny's waffle recipe, and that's where you get this waffle recipe. Most complex waffle you're ever going to make, but it's so worth it. Let's see where we're at here. God, I've been looking forward. I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks now. Big fan of chicken and waffles. Big fan of spicy. Big fan. Just a big fan of things, you know? Let's cut into this. The waffles going. I'll get a jalapeno. This jalapeno is not so much for spice, it's for sweet, a little bit of flavor. There's some mustard seed in the pickling, so some depth there. Such a unique combination of flavors. And that hot sauce is hot, like I said, but damn, it's good. So you're getting different textures here. Crunchy, tender, and then like almost like a cornbready texture from the waffle. Crispy outside on it. Flavors are rolling flavors. Dark, earthy, bright, sweet, hot, heavy, light. Fucking just, it's so good. I'm actually gonna do this one on dinner with Downey one night because this is just too good. I gotta figure out who I want to serve this to. There's a big chicken and waffles people, you know. See how that goes. All right, so we're gonna do another batch here. Plate this one up again. Make one for Michelle, so I'm not going to do it the same way I would do it. Right now I'm just trying to line up some of these jalapenos. When it comes out. There we go. Beautiful. Some chicken. I'll do a little butter on there. There we go. Not as much for her. Same kind of weirdness that I do. Chicken, we'll toss in some oil. So again, Chicago Johnny's waffle recipe. If you look it up, it's on the internet. If you go to chicagojohnnies.com, you will find my Chicago hot chicken recipe. If you're local, go to Jewel Osco, pick up my olive oil jardiniere and cherry bourbon barbecue sauce. If you're not, go to Amazon or Walmart online or chicagojohnnies.com. Oh, yeah. This dish is a beast, man. A couple of littler pieces for her. She just got back from lunch not long ago. And it's tempting to keep a lot of this oil because of the flavor, but it'll just be too much. So let it drain off. And then a little bit of syrup. A little bit of jalapeno. Oh, wait. What are we doing here? There we are. Now we have Chicago hot chicken and waffles. For Chicago hot chicken and waffles, go to chicagojohnnies.com, get my Chicago hot chicken recipe. Go on the internet and search Chicago Johnny's waffle recipe. The most complicated waffle you're ever going to make. It's so fucking worth it. A couple of reasons. One, I use coconut oil and yogurt, and two, and whole wheat flour. And then the other reason is I didn't know how to make waffles. I didn't look up a recipe. I just made them. And I was like, this is how I want them to be. So if I want this end result, how am I going to get there? And so it's just a very complicated recipe, but it is so worth every minute of your time. If you're local, go to Jewel Osco, pick up my olive oil jardiniere, cherry bourbon barbecue sauce. Go online, chicagojohnnies.com, Amazon, walmart.com, and find more of my products. Dinner with Downey.